Ladies and gentlemen, it is March 11th of 2025, and we are met in the capacity of American Fork City Council. We thank you for being here with us and sitting up close. That's always nice, back row. So we have an agenda that has been posted on various places in the state website and other places, and we will follow that agenda as we have outlined. So we will begin with a Pledge of Allegiance, and will be followed up with an invocation by Councilmember Hawley, and then I will conduct the roll call.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're very grateful to be gathered here this evening in American Fork as a body of the City Council. And we're thankful for the city that we live in and for all those who serve and work to make this city an amazing place to live in. We're thankful for the support of our families, and we're thankful for this building that we get to meet in as well. We ask you to please bless us with the wisdom to make good decisions always, and to keep in mind the needs of the residents as we do meet and discuss these issues. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I'll now conduct a roll call. Councilmember Hunter.
Here, Mayor.
Councilmember Hawley.
Here.
Councilmember John.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Okay, item number 2 is a time we set aside for anybody that would like to address the mayor, the council, or our senior staff. We've said about 20 minutes apart. We would ask you to limit your remarks to 2 minutes. And I have one that has submitted information. We're not limited to this person, but I will call her up first. Michelle, is it Harrer? Okay, Mrs. Harrer.
Not really the way you should pronounce it, but that's what they do. So thank you for giving me this opportunity, and I appreciate the work that the council and the mayor does. My mother was born in American Fork, and every summer vacation was come home to American Fork and see aunts and uncles and grandma and grandpa. So I really treasure this city, and I've noticed lately a lot of street vendors popping up. And when I've called the police, I've been pleased to find out, even on one occasion, a police officer had already seen them and handled it, and the person was just waiting to be picked up. But there is a problem with that in the climate, and it will encourage more of it, number one. There's also safety concerns with how the food's being handled or transported. And then it's fundamentally unfair to our businesses who have to follow rules, who have to pay taxes, have insurance for their buildings, and I'm going to look at my notes. They have to provide Social Security, Medicare payments, wage laws, safe working conditions. They have health inspections and business permits and taxes to deal with. So I would like, while I know our police are doing what they can, they leave and then they come back the next day. And now I've noticed that lately they've been coming back on weekends, because there is no one at the police to simply call a phone number, and no one's going to call 911. So this isn't just one or two people. They all share the same tablecloth appearance, the same umbrella, the same labeling on the fruit. And it's something that I'd like the city council to work with your lawyers and see if there isn't something in the way of fines, confiscating their goods, or getting their ID, least of all. Sometimes they don't have it, but surely whoever's picking them up in a car would have it. Something to incentivize it. Otherwise, in fairness, you've got to deregulate all of our other businesses that are challenged by this. That's my 2 cents. And thanks again for what you do.
Okay. Hey, would you be open for a phone call from me tomorrow? I want to learn more. I just want to learn exactly where it's at.
I can give you the addresses that are most common, though. I've noticed it several places.
Okay, and I have your information
Mayor,
here.
if I can I ask a question? I just was going to ask, you're talking like on the four-way stop or something, where somebody's selling produce or something like that, not a pizza Or a food truck, okay. I just want to make,
And then the summers, if I can go on, in the summers is women with roses.
Okay.
The roses are all wrapped the same, the appearance is the same, and the women will interchange out while the children stay the same.
Yeah.
So that it's not their children.
got it,
I've got pictures.
Okay,
thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to take my cold and go.
Okay, is there anybody else who would like to make a public comment? Yeah, come on up. And if you would please state your name. I don't know if I said that, it's just for the public record.
Good evening. I am Lori Taylor, and I am from Highland City, but I am an advocate for the Ruth, the new theater in Pleasant Grove.
And I'm Angie Cummings. I'm also an advocate, and I live here in American Fork and have been here for over 30 years. Love our city.
And we just want to thank the city councilor for being such, just dedicated servants to the city, and we just appreciate that. And I'm just going to go for my script. As you probably know, the new Hale Center Theater has moved from Orem and into Pleasant Grove City, which is our part of the valley. And it's a magnificent new facility. I don't know if anyone's had the opportunity to go yet, but it is just really a beautiful building. It is called the Ruth and Nathan Hale Theater at the doTERRA campus, or the Ruth for short. We serve on the community as advocates for the Ruth, and we are liaisons for your city. Through the Ruth, we are working to elevate the arts community connections. Our goal is to work with the Arts Commission for American Fork. And we're here to share information about exciting resources in our community and open a line of communication. Since the theater's opening, we've distributed throughout the county approximately 6,500 vouchers for tickets to the Ruth. The Ruth will continue to provide world-class shows and performing arts classes that residents in our community can enjoy. They are also in the process of developing a variety of offerings to support our community. The Ruth would like to invite you all and other city guests to attend Jersey Boys, which is a PG version of Jersey Boys. Tonight, we have vouchers for the mayor and city council and department heads, and they all go within the budget. This is just a courtesy invite to have you all come and just try this new facility. And then we have other vouchers that we'd like to distribute within the next couple of weeks to your departments. And so we would like to leave our information, our contact information for when it is a good time to come into those departments, just to leave some vouchers for all the other servants of the community to come and enjoy a complimentary show.
Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll have you leave those with Tara Lynn there at the end, and then I would have you leave your information with her as well.
Perfect.
And I'll tell you, I was planning on going to the VIP, and they did not want me in that room. I promise, I was not feeling well. And so.
Well, thank you for that.
Yes, but I was disappointed because I wanted to be there, and so I'm going to get back. I will go to this.
No,
sure.
go and see it. It was the last show they did, I mean, it is world class. It's amazing what our community has in the way of talent. So it's like as good as Broadway, so.
And each voucher is worth 2 tickets.
Yeah. So everyone can take a date.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, is there anybody else that would like to make public comment? Okay, seeing none, we will close the public comment period and we'll move on to our city administrator's report. David?
I have nothing to report, Mayor.
Okay. All right, council reports. So I'll start with Councilmember Hunter.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, just really quickly, we've had a lot of finance stuff and audits and budget retreats and everything recently, but today I wanted to just briefly mention, I know a couple of us have had an opportunity, or several of us, but to do a ride-along with the PD, and what an experience. Chief's back there hiding he's hiding behind but we had an awesome experience. We were able to take 2 warrant individuals off the streets with some drugs, and it was an amazing experience, and one that I can't imagine doing on a daily basis for my career, but just very proud of the men and women that do that on a daily basis. We had just with just residents and, you know, lenient, but at the same time, hey, you probably ought to take care of this, you know, things like that, that I felt like was very, you know, sure we all have our different days, but it was real officers, the PD.
All right, Councilmember Hawley.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Councilmember Hunter said. I got right along with Sergeant Lott last week, and it was just a good reminder of how much they do and all that they do to keep our city safe. And you know, it also confirms how safe our city is in general, that we live in a pretty safe community. It wasn't as exciting as maybe I was hoping it to be, but I am appreciative for them letting me tag along for an afternoon. The cemetery committee met last week for the first time and mostly was focused around the Memorial Day program. It's going to be on Monday, May 26th at 11 o'clock, same place, same time, tabernacle and everything like that. We have the program pretty much ironed out, just sending out a couple of invites, trying to get the guest speaker, and that's about it. And should have that, as I said, finalized next month, and I'll be able to report who the speaker will be. And we also got to take a little field trip through our cemetery. And I have that, who's on our committee is Bruce Franston. And he mentioned that there's a Civil War vet actually buried in our cemetery, and it might be the only one in Utah County. And so we walked over to see Captain Frank Burke, who was actually born in Germany, went the history that's in our cemetery. So if you ever have the chance, encourage people to walk around and just look at some of the graves and see who's over there. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember John.
Well, I hate to sound like a broken record, but I will. I got my ride along too, and unfortunately, one of the incidences that I got to be involved with was a sad one. And I want to tell you the professionalism of our PD and our fire department was first rate. This was a tragic incident, and it involved family, and they were world class. They took care of the people there. There were children that were put in the back of an ambulance and just taken care of for a while because they didn't know where to go or what to do. And our people were phenomenal. And like Councilman Hunter said, they do this all day, every day, and they see the good, the bad, and the ugly. But they had an opportunity to shine, and they really did. That's all I had, Mayor.
Councilmember Carroll.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Councilmember Tater.
Thank you, Mayor. Tim was, the gentleman from the Civil War, was he buried in the southeast corner, southeast section of the cemetery? Remember where he was?
I don't think it was southeast. I think it was, let's see, northeast, I believe. It's kind of close to where, this piece, we walked over there too, it's kind of close to where Mary Kawakami is buried as well. So it's, yeah, the offices where we were meeting in are, I guess, in the southwest. And so we walked all the way up. Yeah, probably the northeast corner is what I would guess it would be.
I mowed headstones in the cemetery for probably only about 7 years, so I thought I knew where all the celebrities were buried. But my ride along comes this week, so I'm going out this Thursday. They told me to prepare to be cuffed. I didn't know. I didn't understand why that would be, you know, part of the ride along. But that's all I had. Just a question.
Okay.
So.
All right, thank you. For the mayor's report, I got to tell you, to follow up, going for a walk, the cemetery is my favorite place to walk. My wife and I do it almost every night. It's actually very calm. You don't have to worry about traffic, and you just get to look along the way, and you just pick out names. You know, I know them, I know their family. It's really a neat space. It's a hollow space in my opinion. So, and then I had the opportunity to attend a ribbon cutting. It's a new business. It's the building down. It would be in our south corner, Momentum Gymnastics. It's the whole building. It's by that big new development down south of town. But this facility is world class. In fact, they're trying to capture the young kids and give them the right facility, training people to help them along to be Olympic athletes. They feel like they have that inside of that building, but it is one of the more updated, big, unique gyms that you'll ever see. And it was good to see people are taking a big risk being there and I appreciated that. Never had so many people attend a ribbon cutting, probably 200 people there. So, and then before, just because we're talking about police, it seems to be the theme tonight. I was on a ride-along, it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. I've been on a few. This was one of the ones, probably the first one when I was the mayor, so it's been even longer. Some young boy was coming down Second East Golf Course Road, and he was going like 40 in a 25, obviously speeding, and so flipped around, pulled him over. The policeman, our officer, took his license, came back to the car where I was, and he's looking at it. He does a little bit of math, and he knew that if he wrote that young man a ticket, that he would lose that license. He was just that new to the system, it would be revoked from him. And so I watched the officers and how they have to make these judgment calls, where is justice, and then there's some mercy to be extended. And so I thought he handled it perfectly. He went back and he says, "We're going to call your parents." And so he made him call his parents. The officer talked to his parents, told him what had happened, told him, details, and then he gave his license to him and just sent him on his way. And I thought, pretty good move there, knowing that he would affect a young boy, but knowing that the parents now knew and it was in their hands. I just thought it was a very clever way of doing things. So, yeah, we appreciate them all and know that they have things come up on a daily basis that you just never know where your day is going to end when you start it there. So that is Mayor's report. We'll now move on to the common consent agenda, consisting of the 5 items. Any noted changes on the minutes, Caroline? Okay. Any questions?
Mayor, I'd move approval of the common consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Holly. Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I'll call for a vote. Councilmember Holly?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Councilmember Carroll?
Aye.
Councilmember John?
Aye.
Councilmember Taylor?
Aye.
Okay, item number 1 is review and action on approval of an agreement with Central Utah Water Conservancy District and Yapify for software services. Ken, we're kind of running point on this. Why don't you just maybe give us a little bit of an overview, and then we can have questions. And we do have representation from Central Utah Waters. Thank you.
Yeah, Amanda Strack with Central Utah Water is here as well, and she can talk about anything. I went through a lot of it. I don't want to rehash it too much in the motion itself, but this is kind of a partnership between three organizations, American Fork City, Central Utah Water, and Yapify. I'm very grateful for Central Utah and willing to kind of cover these costs in this pilot program in which they can get and understand water consumption and water conservation data, not personalized. And then we have, services and softwares that we were looking into getting anyway. And so that we thought this would be a win-win for all of us. So with that, if there's any questions you have, I'm happy to answer those.
I do have a couple of questions. I saw that it said something about, I just would like some clarification on how you get phone numbers. Do we transfer them from Everbridge? Do we get all of them on our rolls? And if so, I saw that it was easier to opt out, you said. Can you give me some information on how you get that?
Yeah, so right now we use Everbridge, and if we use it for reverse 911, we will continue to use it for that, any kind of emergency notification, and the accounts that are on there will stay. But we were going to take those accounts and migrate them over to Yapify, and so the contact information of the people that self-subscribed to Everbridge will be migrated over, and as we do that, we'll give them a notice using Everbridge first, telling them that their services are being moved to Yapify, and once they get migrated over, we'll then send them another notification saying this is how you'll get what you subscribed for. So we're not necessarily giving them something different, we're still giving them the information and what they subscribe to get. So if they wanted to know about library events, those people will still only get library notifications as we've already said we would do.
Okay.
But at that time also, we can, as part of that text, we can, we'll give them the ability to opt out. They can say like text stop to stop getting notifications. That's a feature that Everbridge doesn't even have. they'd have to go log into their account, and most everyone forgets that information and uncheck certain boxes and others. It's just a little bit more complicated with Everbridge. So that's how we're going to do it for anyone that has subscriptions or wanting to get notifications on just general communication and social communication type stuff, city events, those sort of things. Then we're going to use the utility account, so that the people, that we're notifying by sending a utility bill every time, we're also going to use that information, that content information, start giving or sending notifications via text or email regarding utility billing and their water consumption. And they can opt out of that as well if they so choose, and then we can just use the regular way we're doing it as well.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. That's really robust. Okay, another question is essentially, it was hard to parse out what would be, after the 3 years, what would be the cost of it, and keeping in mind that we would keep Everbridge for Reverse 911 and how much that would actually cost, because we're getting less services from that Everbridge, so is it cheaper? Can you give me some information on that?
Yeah, it is a little confusing just because we're working with 3 different organizations, and Central Utah Water is paying their fee. It's like $200,000+ is what was listed on there for all the full array of services that Yopify is providing for them. With that, we are getting services probably above and beyond what we would get if we were to reach out strictly to Yopify and say we'd like you to do these 3 things for us. And so that's why I kind of try to clarify. They gave, over the 3 years, they gave a percent breakdown of what percent we're covering. Or we're going to pay. But that's based off the services that we're getting under this 3-way agreement, if that makes sense. So that's why those percents are a little bit different. If we were to go just strictly to them, I estimate, or in talking with Yopify, we said probably be closer to $9,000, whereas the number they have quoted is for the full thing is $17,000. And we're paying, they said like 20 or 30% at one point, or I can't remember the percents. So that would be like $9,000 if we were to go straight to Yopify and use it on it, if that makes sense.
In 2028?
So
we have the graduated,
It'd be $9,000 in today's dollars. I don't know what kind of increase it would be, but we would negotiate it at that point. So and to take a step back, Everbridge is a multi-city agreement. A lot of cities partnered with them, and then we share the cost based off population to use those services. Our contract right now is for 3 years still, and so we would continue to pay that, and that's about $6,000 per year. So it would be that, which we will still pay for the services they're providing, and then we would pay the additional amounts for Yopify. With that said, our communications team, we're already looking into softwares and looking to potentially put forward requests of funding at or about what Yopify would be charging, and definitely greater than what we're having to pay under the Central Utah Water agreement, where they're kind of giving us a discount for the services that we're getting out of Yopify. So we kind of see this still as we likely were going to be at least requesting, whether or not I get approved, but requesting for these services to have a web chat service on our websites, and then to have some sort of water conservation software as well. And with that said, there still is like a dashboard that doesn't exist that we should look into doing as in terms of water conservation, so that people can go look up their consumption and their billing. But this service, at least, we wanted to have, because the reality is very few people will go to a dashboard, but when you get a text regarding you consumed this many thousands of gallons, last month, click here for resources on how to reduce that consumption. That will people really do benefit. So we were already investigating the possibility of engaging with companies to provide these services at a cost equal to or greater than what we're paying through this agreement. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So we would Everbridge will remain the same if whatever it is, whatever Central Utah 911 is going to use with Everbridge, we're going to continue paying that.
Yes, and
then,
indefinitely. I mean, we can and should revisit it at 3 months from now, but there is advantage, as I understand from talking with police and fire. Central Utah 911 just has one software that they get to use when they need to do a missing child blast or whatever that we've gotten from any community. So it makes sense to have them use just one software, but we should just revisit the conversation in 3 years and see. Because technically Yopify can do those things for our community as well.
Right, okay, so I'm still trying to figure out, because it's increasing in price over the 3 years, because we're paying more of that amount. Is it going to continue to increase the cost to the city? I'm looking at like the long-term
Yeah, after
cost.
year 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's hard to say for sure. Central Utah Water has agreed to revisit the conversation and are open to possibly subsidizing continuing after year 3. We just wanted to start a timer for 3 years. But let's assume hypothetically they don't, and let's assume hypothetically we would want to continue
Yeah.
with them. We estimate it to be about $9,000 for service on
Okay.
top of Everbridge. With that said, I still think that that's about what we were expecting to request funding for the services that we would be getting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's kind of,
Sorry,
at
I'm
the
a
end,
little
after,
slow,
at year
but yes,
4
I'm trying
and
to
thereon,
get
I
it.
probably wasn't clear enough. At year 4 and thereafter, we were thinking it would be about this that we'd be requesting for these types of services anyway. So we're just getting a discount and possibly a discount moving forward, just depending on how things go in this relationship with Central Utah Water.
Have they offered this to other cities?
We're kind of the pilot program. If we don't take advantage of this, they'll move on to someone else and try and get it started with them. But no, this is,
be an A in the alphabet.
that's right. That's exactly right. First on the list. That's first.
I got a couple questions if I
Actually,
could.
Alpine Falls before American Fork. They can't handle something like this.
Cam, to talk to us about some of the, you mentioned that you've been investigating other softwares and things like that. What other options? It sounds like this is heavily based around the water consumption and perhaps creating historical data. I always laugh when I see the, what is the new name for Rocky Mountain? What are, Dominions, yeah, whoever the gas
Bridge.
company,
Yeah.
whatever Rocky Mountain was and now is, Enbridge?
Questar. You mean Questar?
Yes, that's what I meant.
Rocky Mountain's still Rocky Mountain.
Any rate, well, whatever. They send a thing and tell me that my house, overuses because neighbors in my household, that have one old lady and, for 5 houses each direction, we use way more consumption. I'm like, well, that's good because we have 10 people in our house, not one. I would hope that's the case. But anyway, I always laugh at that. And I'm curious, is the information that we're getting going to be valuable? And then what other softwares are we looking at, have we looked at and considered to determine that this is the right one? I have no problem doing it. I think there's a lot of great resources for it, and I trust that you've done that. I'm just, maybe for the record, so we can understand how we're arriving at that.
Let me answer the second question first. Even before, in fact, we were borderline being cut because we were taking so long moving this forward, because I wanted to see if the discount we were getting was actually less than what I would get from just going with someone else. And so we actually met with Podium. We used a different company called Spry Point, and they actually were looking at doing a dashboard also. They have a slightly different segment, and a lot of these softwares are overlapping significantly, but never really perfectly overlapping. But Spry Point also did a web chat, and they did notifications for water consumption and a lot of those sort of things. At the end of the day, most all of them were more price-wise and didn't quite do all the things that we knew that Yawply could do in this agreement, or in what we were looking at doing. And we've actually Freshline was another one that we looked at as well. So we have investigated other softwares and their pricing. This still proved to be the best option for us. And so we move forward with that. And now that I've talked as long as I have, I can't remember what the first question you asked was.
I was going to, for me, I want to make sure that whatever information we're getting from whatever source it is valuable, because obviously the intent is, but if I get information that says, hey, you're using more than your neighbor next door, that's really not valuable to me, right? So
Yeah.
on a monthly basis, my statement, and that's why I use the gas company, because it just says, well, the neighbors next door to you use less. Again, I would hope so. We have a water heater that basically just doesn't ever turn off because there's 10 of us. But
Yeah.
so our gas bill should be higher. Same thing would apply, with water consumption. And that's one of the things that I'm curious about. And maybe you can speak to that, or you can speak to that. I'm just curious, how valuable is the information? Is it so generic that it's not valuable, or is it?
Well, so the data is, go ahead, Ernie.
Yeah, can I, Ryan, jump in? The data will be extremely valuable, because if you look at the trends on went down the water rabbit hole, so. If you look at the trends of water, 20%.
You notice I didn't direct video.
I know, you didn't on purpose, I get it. There goes the record. No, we're still up to the record. Ryan, it's really valuable. Our system's approaching 17 years old. So in terms of, if you look at water usage across, about 20% of people use 70% of the water. So most of us do a really good job conserving, and there's a small group at the top that does it, and most of them don't even know. And they're using it for multiple reasons. A leak in their system. Once we get the meters in and operational, and feed the data into the system, then we can pull that data out, and this is where it's valuable. And we can target those people and not say, boom, you're doing something bad. Hey, we noticed on a positive kind of message, this is Mark's thing, that you need to, you're using a lot. Maybe you want to check, maybe you might have a leak, those kind of things. So it's really valuable.
So,
The ability to
and the-
use this to communicate back to residents is, I think, where it really gets really valuable to us, because then we can target them and say, what can we help that 20% cut their water usage?
The information the data comes from our meter reading, right? And the information can be whatever we want to tell our residents. So if that's not valuable, we would just not tell them that. And it can just be whatever, and Yavapai will help do the analysis. And then we almost have two sets of eyes to look at the data to find out what's important. We can get the information or set up any kind of channels we want through Yavapai as a city that we want to communicate. And then non-personalized, like no names and phone numbers stuff, but water consumption then goes to Central Utah. And if they also say like, hey, we're noticing like this segment of people have a segment of consumption, we'd like you to look at that more, maybe send a blast out to them, giving them additional resources or access to more information, and we can do a targeted approach there. So if it's not like we could have it say you use 9,000 gallons this month, and that's above the average for this home. If you're looking ways to reduce it, click here, or we could just ignore that altogether. But we could say, hey, it looks like you've been using water nonstop for the past 3 weeks. We think there's a leak. Click here to like have it investigated or something like that. But that's all we want to do. That can be. But even that alone would be beneficial for both us and them. Or if we say, hey, you haven't paid your bill in 3 months, your water can get turned off. That's another valuable resource on our utility billing side, because they're having to do all that stuff manually in those individual calls. And so just be able to click a button, have every account that is backlogged or hasn't paid in a while just be auto sent the message would be really helpful for us.
That's great. That's all I'm wanting to point out that are valuable to me. June bill with my current